Alright, so due to popular demand, I decided to make a very one-take quick video on Furnace Fun Moves, aka FFM, and that implies where we enter a file with a bunch of pre-learned moves and then enter a new file and have all those moves available to us. So really quickly, this is the setup file, and I'm just going to go through all of my stats just to show what everything looks like. So the honeycombs are really optional. You don't have to collect those. If you're having trouble collecting all the jiggies, then by all means collect the health. I decided to omit those so that I can do the FFM setup a little faster. Grunty, you only need 6 jiggies. Mumbo's Mountain, you can only get 8. Treasure Trove Cove, you can only get 6. And keep in mind that these note totals are also important. Clinker's Cavern, you can only get 8. Bubble Gloop, you can only get 9. Frizzly Peak, you can only get 7. Gobi's Valley, only 6. Mad Monster Mansion, only 9. And Rusty Bucket Bay, only 10. And Clinkers, or Click Clock Wood, excuse me, you don't even need notes, you don't need jiggy, excuse me, just a couple of notes. I went through this as if I was a casual player. Obviously, you know, I have a little bit better of an idea of when not to die, but all of these notes and jiggies I collected as if I was a casual player. You don't have to do any crazy strats to get any of these notes and jiggies. In fact, you can have a little bit of leniency on the note scores. And I'm going to start just heading to Furnace Fun and just start explaining some other things. So, one thing is, even if you don't learn flight, there are some flight pads that are actually available to you. Don't worry if you actually use flight on them. The game still does not consider you having learned those moves. The other thing is, those note scores and jiggy totals I got is pretty much the bare minimum required to getting to Furnace Fun. You cannot beat the game with this kind of file. You need to have a lot more, moves to do it. And actually, one thing that I forgot to mention was, what you want to do is, when you're setting up this file, you want to learn every move in the game except for eggs and feathers. So you don't want to omit any eggs, or you don't want to learn egg shot, and you don't want to learn how to flight and invulnerability. The reason for that is when you learn those moves in like a normal speedrun file, you get 50 eggs as soon as you learn the move. But if you have those already learned, then yeah, you have egg shot already, but you can't do anything with it because you have to collect all those 50 eggs. So the reason this file is hard to do is just because you have to basically collect all those notes and jiggies without those eggs and feathers. So once you basically go through the game, learn all those feathers, or learn all the moves except for eggs and feathers, get all the jiggies and notes, honeycomb's optional as I said, you want to reduce your life count down to 0. And this is on purpose. Cancel text, do whatever you need to do. Just bring it down to 0, and the objective here is we want to go into a minigame and purposely die in said minigame. So there are a couple of minigames that you can do that on. Zubuzz for one, Tip Top, although it's a little slow. The Boombox boss. There are some which... Is this right? Okay. There are some which you cannot kill yourself in, which is why you want to keep your health not like at 1, but instead at like 2, 3, 4, or even 5 is fine. So I'm just going to get through here. I already know the answers, or the solution set for this is, so let me just type this in, and this should be correct. It is. Otherwise, you'd have to figure those out on your own. We all know that he throws chocolate. I wish. Alright, so we're just going to enter this minigame, and as I mentioned before, we're going to die. On purpose. So we have a mummy in this, so just skip this text, and then just run into him 5 times and die. And this will trigger the game over sequence. So if this is your first time watching this file, it's actually unskippable. But every time past that, you can just hit start and just skip it easily. So now that we haven't reset the game, we can just skip this intro cutscene and skip, or just go past the start screen, and we're going to go immediately to a blank file. You don't need to do anything aside from just hover over the file. If it's file 1, it does that automatically, so you don't have to worry about that. If it's file 2 or 3, say, then you have to hover over to 2 first, and then go to the blank file. And you can delete the file in here, like after you set up the file. It doesn't matter what order you do it. So I'm just going to start it, and I'm going to go straight as fast as I can just to Mumbo's Mountain. I'm going to skip all of the kind of silly stuff, like learning honeycombs or getting honeycombs and whatever. Hopefully I didn't leave anything huge out. So this is only going to take another minute. Feel free to skip this part if you just want to see me get some Mumbos. There's really not much just to talk about here. This is just get to the top as fast as you can, or if you're doing a speed run, you know, do it as normal. One thing I guess I can mention just casually is if you are a casual runner, then there's absolutely nothing wrong with just learning those moves and, you know, showing off to your friends like, hey, look, I entered Mumbo's Mountain with all of the moves learned, and your friends are like, oh, that's really cool. It's the setup for ditching the eggs and feathers is more for a speed run. So let's skip this, obviously. Let's cancel this text as I do really sloppy movement. So you'll notice that in kind of a very strange fashion, if I were to try to use Talon Trot, I can't do it, obviously. The game doesn't really consider having all the moves learned until I get to Mumbo's Mountain, which is why it's kind of a strange glitch. But, I mean, hey, I don't know how glitches work, they just work, right? So, I'll go in here and I will, as soon as I enter Mumbo's Mountain, I'll have all of the moves learned. So I should have basically everything from Mumbo's Mountain. So the Stomp move, I have Talon Trot, and I do not have Egg Shot. I purposely did not learn those so that I can get those 50 eggs normally, like as part of a route. I also have, I don't have Gold Feathers. I have, well, I always have Beak Barge. If there were a Flight Pet in here, I'd show you that I don't have Flight yet. If there were Speed Shoes, or if there were the wading boots in here, I could show you that I do have those. As I keep mentioning this, but the only moves you really need to learn in this kind of file are anything with eggs and feathers. So hopefully that kind of explains anything. If something wasn't clear, just mention it or PM me and I'll try and clear that up as soon as I can. Thanks for watching!